Welcome to Kitchen Uncovered. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson of Culinary Institute of Canada. Today's guest chef, Chef Ilona Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So you're a graduate of the Applied Degree Program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was everything about culinary that didn't have to do with cooking. So styling, product development, and facility design. So it was really interesting.
Front of the house, the managerial stuff, not necessarily the hands-on stuff.
Lots of accounting, which is not exactly the most fun part of the job, but it's got to be done.
Got to be done.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing with the college? Because I know you're around a lot doing some sessional stuff, so let's go on the go.
I'm a little bit everywhere. I'm running the Seniors College Culinary Program,
Yeah.
teaching some block release, as well as I'm working with the International Hospitality Management class.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you doing with them?
Well, I'm teaching them how to cook, which is going to be interesting. And then we're going to be doing as their final project a fundraiser gala dinner. So they're going to be cooking all the food, and a lot of their guests are going to be the parents. So it'll be really interesting to see that.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here on the show. So what style do you do, and what are we going to do today?
Well, most of my food, it's all about love, and I like to play on things that are nostalgic and a little bit of memory. So we're going to do a nice wrap. But it's not just a plain old wrap. We're going to make some naan bread, which is like an Indian flatbread.
Okay.
With flank steak made with, of course, PEI beef.
Right on, yeah.
And some espresso buzzed shallots and a nice avocado salsa.
Okay, excellent. Looking forward to it. So where do we get started?
Well, we got to get started on these shallots, so we're going to start with that.
Okay.
Lovely shallots.
Right on.
And so this is kind of like the little brother of the onion family. It's got a really nice mild flavor. So I'm just going to take the top and the tail off of those and cut it in half. And then we just need to peel off the skin.
So is this recipe you could do with normal onions or red onions if you wanted to, or does the shallot kind of fit better to this type of?
You can really use any onion you want. It doesn't matter. But I think I like the delicate taste that the shallot has, and it softens up in a nice way for this recipe. But red onions, totally fine. So we're just going to cut like little half moon shapes, just like that.
So no dicing, it's just random, rough, kind of a rough cut a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of rustic. It's going to cook down nicely in some butter and some sugar.
Okay.
And some couple of special ingredients. So we're going to get that into the pan right here.
Yeah. Just turn up the heat a little bit.
Yep. So we've got some butter, which is, of course, every chef's favorite ingredient.
So we want the butter to foam a little bit. We kind of want that hazelnut kind of flavor, and we don't want to caramelize the onions. So we don't want high heat. You just want to sweat them. Is that kind of what we're looking for?
Yeah, we're getting, just soften. We're not looking to saute them, get them really brown quickly. We just want to soften them up.
Okay.
And once this gets going, we're going to use a little bit of espresso balsamic vinegar. So it's going to give a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour, but has that nice hint of coffee, which is really nice with the beef, and beer, which is a lot of fun. So we're going to add in our beer. Okay.
And we're just going to basically braise the onions in the beer and the balsamic mixture.
Yeah, it's going to become like a caramel. Yeah, and it's going to be nice and gooey. I'll add a little bit more. And I'm going to add in some brown sugar, and that's going to help give some nice dark color to the shallots, as well as thicken up the caramel. So that's going to be nice and gooey when we put that on top of our sandwich.
Okay.
All right.
So do you use espresso balsamic for any particular reason, or just to kind of get that extra flavor?
I like the extra flavor,
Flavoring
The espresso has a little bit of a bitterness to it and adds a little bit of earthy depth, which is good.
Okay.
Because this is kind of sweet, so you want to have a little bit of balance, and I think that's really important.
Okay.
So we're just going to let it do its thing. This will take about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then we're ready to put this on our...
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned naan bread, which is an Indian style flatbread. So
yes.
It's pretty simple. My reflection of it is pretty simple to make, pretty basic bread dough.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. A lot of people at home feel that making bread is a very complicated, scary sort of thing. Yeah. And I like to show people that it's not, and it's actually really tasty and so much cheaper to make it yourself than buy it.
Right.
So it's a pretty straightforward recipe.
Okay.
And it really helps to have a stand mixer, but if not, you can always do it just all the way with your hands. But we're going to start in our mixer.
Okay.
And the first thing we want to do, we have our yeast and our sugar and our water together. The yeast is really important to have sugar. It needs to feed and grow and get frothy.
Right, and we have to be careful of the temperature of the water as well, because we don't want to kill the yeast, because it doesn't like hot or cold, right?
No.
It's got to be body temp, right?
Yeah, it's a living thing, and if you put too much hot water, it'll kill the yeast, and you won't have any nice fluffiness in your dough.
Right, so we'll start with that in the mixer. Just give me a spoon there, and it's kind of settled on the bottom a little bit.
Yep.
So after we get the yeast in there, is there anything we need to wait for? We need to wait for the yeast to kind of do anything?
Well, it started to froth, and that's important. You'll know that your yeast is alive when you see it kind of foaming at the top.
Yep.
If that doesn't happen after about 5 or 6 minutes, your yeast could be dead. You want to make sure that your yeast is fresh. That's important.
So fresh, dry yeast is better than anything else? That's what we like to use?
I think so. For this, and if you don't cook a lot, if you don't make a lot of bread, just buy them in the little packages. That way you know you've got
some fresh stuff.
You got the fresh stuff. Okay, so it's really straightforward. We're going to add in our flour.
Flour. I get the mixer going now?
Yeah, we can do that. And we've got some milk, some salt, and some egg.
So just add it gently and slowly?
Yes, definitely. If you add it too quickly, you'll have a little bit of a mess on your hands.
Okay.
Definitely learned that one the hard way a few times.
Kind of fires it all over the room.
Yeah, and you get a nice cloud of...
Nice white cloud going on, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just checking on our shallots here. They're cooking away nicely while you're adding in that flour.
Okay.
And then you can add in our egg that's just beaten.
Just a beaten egg, just one?
Yep.
And this is about a half a recipe that we normally do, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of nice for 1 or 2 people.
A couple pinches of salt and our milk.
Okay. So milk, you prefer 2% or could you use cream in the recipe?
You totally could, definitely. It just adds a nice stretchiness and adds a little bit of that creamy flavor that you want in a naan bread. So we're just going to let this dough come together just until it stops sticking to the sides, and then we'll take it out of the KitchenAid and
work it by hand on the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's important to get your hands dirty, right?
Yeah, there you go, right? That's where the fun comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got everything in the mixer. We just want it to come away from the sides all in one ball.
Yep.
And then we're gonna work it on the, so we should save ourselves some flour, right?
Always have a little extra on hand. Yep.
Okay, so that's come together.
Okay, I'll put a little flour on my board.
Okay, let's grab me a spatula. So are we looking for any stickiness or consistency in the dough dough bread right now, or are we just kind of?
No, you don't want it to be too sticky.
And what about the gluten? Do we want to work the?
Yeah, we want to have some good chew to our dough. So I'm just going to pull it together. And kneading is not a scary thing. We just got to use the palm of our hands and pull it together like that. And you'll see the gluten strands will get nice and smooth, like a baby's bottom, as they say.
As they say.
Yep. And that's what we want to look for here.
Just quarter turns and just the back of your hand, just kind of rolling the bread up.
Just like that.
Okay. Alona's going to knead the bread here for a few minutes, so we go right back. We're going to do the marinated steak and a quick little salsa. Don't go away. Hi, welcome back to Kitchen Uncovered. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson of the Culinary Institute of Canada. Today with Chef Alona Daniel. Today we've got our shallots braising. We have our naan bread raising. So what are we doing next?
We're going to get into our beef.
We're getting into the beef. So this is local island beef flank. So why do we pick the flank for this particular recipe?
Well, I like the way it slices really nice and thinly. It kind of has that fajita sort of feeling, and it just goes really nicely in that naan bread. So we're going to use the flank.
Okay, now we recognize this is a tough cut of meat because of the texture of it, so it's not a very popular cut. So we need to marinate it for tenderness, right?
Yep, that's really important.
Okay.
But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to just remove, if there's any silver skin or some really big pieces of fat, we're just going to go in and trim that away.
Okay, just trimming that off so it's nice and lean and get all the excess off.
Yep.
We don't want to go into the meat though, right? We're just going to take the surface stuff off.
Just the surface stuff. And, you know, this is pretty clean, so I think that's good. And the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to score the meat.
Okay.
So if you look at it, we've got these
and you would trim both sides, right?
Yes,
yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the flank has long strands of muscle meat, so we want to just score it like this both ways.
So you want to go against the grains of the meat when you're doing the scoring. Scoring is not slicing all the way through.
No.
We're just making marks in it so that we get...
Lots of marinating in there, and we're gonna make sure it's nice and tender.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of almost just dragging your knife across the surface so it'll have that.
Oh yeah, okay. So it gets that checkerboard kind of look.
Yeah, and it looks really nice when it cooks as well, when you bring it to the table.
Right.
It's one of those nice sort of dishes that you can assemble at the table, and or if you're doing it to entertain, it looks really nice as well.
And you could do this on the barbecue, or you could do it in an oven.
Yeah, you could even do it in a cast iron pan.
Okay.
The trick is you don't want to cook it for too long. We're thinking like 2 to 3 minutes per side. That's all we want to do.
Okay, so fairly quick cooking time.
Yep, and it's going to be kind of rare in the middle. So now we have this sort of honeycomb shape.
Yep.
We can get into marinating.
Okay, so put that in the dish.
Put that in the dish, and we're going to use some smoked paprika today.
Okay.
And we're just going to pour that in. And some espresso vinegar. We're going to use some more of that like we use in our shallots.
Okay, so put that up there so we can both get at it. So a little bit of the balsamic, right?
Yep.
Got that on there.
And if you want to add just a splash of some
A little bit of oil.
Yep. And now the fun part.
Okay, now you got to rub that in, right?
We're going to rub, yep. And we might need a little bit more oil.
Okay.
Just another little splash would be good.
You want to massage it all over. You want to get the smoked paprika and the flavoring of the balsamic into the meat, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're looking for.
Really important. And this is a super easy marinade. It kind of tastes like barbecue sauce, but you don't have to have all that extra goopy mess.
Is that why we're using the smoked paprika as opposed to regular paprika or a different spice blend? Could you use a different spice blend rub on this?
Well, I wouldn't recommend doing a different spice blend. You could use regular paprika, but the smoked paprika gives this nice sort of barbecue kind of taste, and that's really what we're looking for here.
Okay, and how long would you let this sit for in the marinade?
The more time, the better.
Okay.
At least 2 hours. If you have the time, overnight is good, and you can just put it in a zipper seal bag, and that works really well too.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it.
So that's good to go?
Good to go.
Put that in the fridge or set it aside for 2 hours and just kind of let it relax.
And yep, we'll get rid of the
so
cutting
get rid of
board.
The gloves and the cutting board.
Yep.
Check on our shallots there. They're cooking up good.
Yep. Now you see how it's getting nice and thick and syrupy? That's what we're looking for here. And we're almost done. And we need one more thing to make our sandwich special.
Okay.
And it's going to be our avocado and tomato salsa.
Okay, awesome. Looking forward to this. So when we buy avocados at the store, what are we looking for in a good avocado?
Avocados can be tricky, but what's important is that you want to make sure that it feels kind of soft. You don't want to bruise the avocado, but you want to just kind of press against with your thumb, and if you feel that you can actually kind of squish it, you're ripe. And at the tip of the avocado where it's would attach to the tree, if you see the ring around there and the nub gets sunken in, it's too ripe.
Too ripe.
Too ripe.
Sunken. Okay, good to know.
Yes.
Good note.
Okay, so avocado, do we have a little knife? Yep, right here. So the best way to clean an avocado, you're gonna just...
And there's the seed in the center, right? That's
right
that's what we're getting around?
Yep. And you just gently guide your knife around, and then you twist it, and you've got your avocado.
Awesome.
Okay? So we have some chopped avocado, just nice. We're making a salsa, nothing too complicated, doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
Rustic looks really nice in this dish.
Sometimes smaller is better, but nice medium is perfect.
Yep, it works. So we have cucumber. What I like to do with a cucumber, I take the seeds out of the middle, I just scoop it with a spoon.
Okay.
Because it gets a little too watery, and we don't want that.
So just take the seeds out and then small dice.
Yep. And we have some tomato. You can use any kind of tomatoes you want, different colors to add some interest.
So whatever's in season or nearby or around is fine.
It works.
And you're looking at about equal amounts of each type of thing?
Yeah, roughly. 4 tomatoes, a cucumber, that all works.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to add in some of our avocado.
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. And this is one that you can get, some new cooks, some young cooks to help make. This is a pretty easy dish to put together.
Right on. It'll be a lot of fun too with them getting the peeling and the chopping and the dicing and just kind of the mixing up.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of colors, and kids like that.
Yeah.
And some green onion. And you can add as much or as little as you like. It depends on what your taste preferences are.
For the green onion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we need some citrus.
Okay.
Lime is the way to go.
Okay.
And I like to just give my citrus always a little roll before I cut it open. And to get all that juice out, I also like to just sort of poke it a little bit with the knife.
Okay.
And if you want to do some squeezing.
Sure, I can do that.
Great. And this salsa you can use on a lot of different things, like grilled fish, it's really nice.
Right on.
Or you can throw it on some nachos.
Oh yeah, that'd be good on nachos. So you've got some real fresh ingredients here.
Yep.
With the ripe avocado. So if you don't get a ripe avocado, what can you do with them at home in order to get them to ripen up a little bit from the store? Because we don't always get
time is the thing you got to do.
Time.
So you just let it sit on the counter. Yep. In a warmer environment is better. And to add that flavor and that aroma, we're going to use some cilantro. This is a herb. Sometimes people are kind of a love it
or hate it.
Love it or hate it.
Leave it.
And if you don't love it, you can use parsley or basil.
Okay.
And
so something sweeter. This is kind of gives it a little bit of peppery and that salsa flavor, but
yeah. And we're just going to chop it up kind of rustic again. You want to be able to see the cilantro throughout.
So you don't have to chop it up fine, so it's completely...
Yeah. You want to have nice little bites of it, pops of that bright cilantro flavor. We'll add that in.
Okay.
And to finish it off, some more of that delicious...
Some more of that balsamic olive oil.
Olive oil.
Nice. Just to kind of bring it up.
You want to make sure you got some shine in there. That's how you know you have enough olive oil. If it's not shiny.
It's not shiny, it's not oily.
Yeah, you got to add it in.
And just a nice even mix.
Yep, that's all you need.
Okay.
And I'll just throw in the remainder of the cilantro.
Is this something you could do ahead of time and leave it in the fridge? How long would this last if we had this salsa made up?
A couple of days in the fridge. You want to kind of make it no more than a day in advance, but 2 days it'll last in the fridge.
Okay, so we're gonna let the salsa kind of sit and rest. Our flank is marinating, and we have our shallots simmering. So don't go away, we come right back. We're gonna roll out our naan bread. Welcome back to Kitchen Uncovered. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson of the Culinary Institute of Canada. Today here with Chef Alona Daniel. We're doing naan bread, marinated flank steak. We have our shallots braised and ready to go in the espresso balsamic. And we have our salsa kind of resting and sitting. So right now, our flank steak's marinated for a couple hours.
Yep.
But you could do it overnight if you wanted to, right?
Overnight is better.
It's a little bit better, more flavor. So I'm going to season and get this in the oven.
Yep.
And you're going to talk about rolling out the naan bread and what that entails.
Yep. Okay, so once the bread has, the dough has risen twice in size, I find it easy just to use a knife, and we're going to portion it. And you just try to do it into 3 equal pieces. And this is going to cook really quickly, like a minute. It puffs up like a pancake. That's how quickly it cooks.
Okay.
So I'm just going to cut these into 4 little pieces. I'm going to save this for later. And we're going to dust each side with a little bit of flour because we don't want it sticking.
Okay.
But you don't want to coat it in flour because that's not going to be good either.
Right.
Okay.
And you want to flatten it out like a pancake?
Yeah. And you can use a rolling pin if you want, or you can just
stretch it out like pizza dough, whatever.
Yeah, whichever works.
Okay.
Wine bottle even works if you don't have a rolling pin. You know, it happens.
Okay. Good.
And this is going to puff up like a pancake, like I said, and it cooks super, super fast.
Okay.
So you want to make sure it's nice and even.
Because it does have yeast in the mix, so it will leaven out as it cooks again, right? We let that double in size, so that took 20 minutes or so.
Yep. And that's what we want to do. That's going to go in the oven just like that.
Okay. Should we season this at all before we put it in the oven, or should we just put it in the oven on a pizza pan?
Just like that. We're going to put it in, and then when it comes out, we're going to brush it with a little bit of oil, and you can sprinkle with a little salt after.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll do one more quickly.
We'll do one more, and then we'll throw those in the oven.
Yep. So it's pretty easy. Like, it comes together quite quickly. Easy to work with, and I think that milk actually helps the dough stretch out a little bit, which is nice. It's pretty user-friendly.
Yeah.
This one is
So when you're presenting this, how would you cut the naan bread?
I'm going to leave the naan whole.
Okay.
Just think of it like a tortilla wrap, that idea.
Okay.
And this one is being... All right. That looks good to me.
And they just kind of come odd shapes and sizes that we're not really looking for anything consistent.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
Okay. So I can put these in the oven?
Yep.
And just a couple of minutes on the pizza stone.
Yep. And it's probably time to flip over our steak.
Flip our steak over.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll let you do the honors. And if you want to throw in just one more. Perfect.
So we're doing this at home on a pizza stone. We should have the oven at about, what, 350, 400 degrees for this on a pizza oven? Is that pizza stone?
I would say 400. You want it to cook as quickly as you can. Okay. And I'm just going to move this aside.
Okay.
There we go.
Tidy up a little bit.
Yep. All right. And so what I'm using today is this lovely rosemary. We're going to dip this in the oil, and when the naan bread comes out, we're going to spread that. So it's going to add just a little bit of that aroma, a little herbaceousness, which is really, really nice.
You're going to get fresh oils out of the rosemary and that kind of stuff too that kind of go into the bread.
And if you're entertaining, people get really, they're like, wow, you're really fancy. That's a really nice way to add a little something
Truth is,
special.
you just don't have a paintbrush.
Exactly.
And we're just kind of waiting for our naan bread to cook up here a little bit. So the consistency of the shallots, what we're looking for when it reduces down is kind of a syrupy kind of texture. Is that what we're...
Yeah, you can kind of see it's almost like candied, a little bit like caramel.
Yeah.
So you think about the flavors of this, it's nice and sweet. Then you have those really lovely fresh flavors of the tomato, the creaminess of the avocado,
right,
and of course the beefiness.
Yes.
So it all kind of plays together.
All kind of plays together.
Yep. So that's ready to go, and you just want to make sure it's nice and gooey.
Okay. Are we looking for any kind of coloration on the naan bread, or are we just looking for it to crisp up a little bit?
Well, we just want it to crisp up a little bit. That's just about ready. All right, I just need some tongs to get that out.
Okay.
Perfect. I will take one of them out.
Salsa looks really good. It's
Yeah.
kind of flavors have all melded together.
Like that. And what do you think? Should we take the steak out?
Yeah, I think the steak's good to go.
Just like that.
So if you don't have a stone oven at home, fire roasted oven, you can do this in a cast iron pan or on the barbecue or...
Yeah, barbecue's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love doing it on the barbecue in the summertime.
And you don't want to cook it well done. You want to cook it kind of medium, but you could, depending on how you prefer your meats kind of cooked.
Flank steak, because it's a tough cut.
Yeah.
If you cook it well done, it'll be really kind of chewy. So this is one of those, a little pink in the meat is okay.
Okay.
So we want to slice this thinly. I'm going to put this on the cutting board.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important we're going to cut against the grain.
Okay. So the grains that we were following earlier, we want to go against those.
Yep. And we're going to cut this nice and thinly.
Oh, perfect. Perfect medium right there. So thinner the better, so you get that nice tender texture and you're not getting the toughness of the cut of meat itself.
Yeah. And it's always good when you're cutting this meat, you can always steal a little nibble for yourself at home.
It, right? That's the best part.
It is. That's why it's good to be the cook in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good. We'll assemble one of our sandwiches.
Okay.
And this is kind of, you can do it rustic, you can make it like a wrap, or you can do it like a steak bread.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do with this. We're going to take our lovely little ribbons of flank steak.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sort of going to scraggle them along just like that. And then we're going to go in with our lovely espresso buzz shallots, just over like that. I like a little extra, so I'm going to put a little on there. And we also need just a little bit on the edges.
Some of that nice rosemary oil.
Yep, just on the edges like that. And then that nice hit of freshness.
Nice fresh salsa.
Yep. And it's okay if a little bit falls off. It looks really nice and rustic.
So if you wanted to do this in a wrap or something, it would kind of be the same process, but we're just going to do an open face steak sandwich.
Yeah, and this is
kind
nice.
Of show off the colors.
Yeah, and this would be kind of cool. You can cut it up into pieces, serve it as a hors d'oeuvre at a party if you want.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Just take a little bit of this, rosemary on the sides, just like that, a little garnish.
Beauty.
And that's that.
Awesome. Very nice flavors, nice techniques.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun.
Pleasure having you. And thank you for joining us. For more information and more recipes, check out our website, kitchenuncovered.com. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson of the Culinary Institute of Canada. Thanks for joining us.